What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to not run out of money in retirement. Yes, you heard that right. Now, I'm pretty sure we've all used an investment calculator such as this one, and we all know how it works. You put in your starting amount. Let's say we have a 30-year time horizon. We're putting in $1,000. There we go. We have $1 million with this criteria. But let's say we want to know how much money can we pull out of our end balance each and every year before we die. How do we figure that out? So actually, there are more tabs here. And if you go to additional contribution, you could figure out how much money you could pull out before you run out of money. And this is how it works. Let's say your starting amount. Now we're talking about you're in retirement. You have that $1 million in your account and you want to know how much of that money can I actually pull out. This is where the numbers come into play. So I'm going to get deeper into it because there's a lot more involved. But let's just say you take your money out of the stock market. You have $1 million cash. Or forget about the stock market for a second so we could just understand some basics here. Let's say you just have $1 million cash after tax. You take that money and then you throw it into a savings account that earns you 4% a year. And you want to know, okay, you expect to live another 30 years before you die. So you get to enjoy 30 years worth of retirement, whatever it might be. If we hit calculate with that 4% rate of return, then you could see where it says you need to contribute negative $4,733, which means I could safely withdraw $4,733 a month for the next 30 years before I run out of money. And that's because I'm getting that 4% rate of return. If you just have that money sitting in cash and it's not getting any return, you see the number's a lot less. It's only $2,700 a month. That's going to be hard to live off of, but that's because you're not getting any interest. So you could see as the rate of return goes up, let's start with, how about everyone's favorite bank, JP Morgan, with a 0.01% interest rate. You get like an extra maybe $20 that way. But let's say you get a bank account that's making 4%, then you could see that went from $2,700 to $4,700. You now have an extra $2,000 a month to play with. And right here down on the chart, you could see that this is your interest. So even though you're taking money out, you're still making interest on top of the rest of your money, the remainder. So that's why you can see that this is going up. This black line or dark blue continues to go up each year until you eventually hit zero. And you could see, even though I only had $1 million and now I'm pulling money out, I actually was able to pull out $1.7 million from my million because of the rate of return being 4%. So each year that passes by, if I wasn't pulling anything out, this 1 million would turn into $1,040,000. So that's where it starts to come into play. And this is when you need to calculate, okay, how much money can I safely withdraw so then it can last me 30 years? Maybe you have a shorter time horizon, maybe it's only 20, you get to pull out more. Maybe you have a longer time horizon, you want to retire early, you're like, I want to have 40 years worth of retirement. Well, you could see on $1 million, it's going to look different. I only have $4,100 a month instead of $4,700. So before we start to play around more with the numbers, whether you're watching this and you're entering retirement, or you're someone young like me, but you're thinking, okay, when am I going to retire? How much money do I need during retirement? This is half the equation. Everyone knows, okay, just put money into the stock market, invest throughout your career. That's great. But then the next part of the equation is, how much money can I actually pull out each month and enjoy for myself? So you're at retirement. You just started. You have your number. You need to figure out, first off, how much money do you need to live on each month? How much money do you need to live on each year? If you could figure that out, that's going to be shelter, whether that be you have a house or you're renting. How about your car, your food, medical bills? And then the big one is entertainment. You want to be able to enjoy your life when you retire, obviously. So you got to factor that all in. So if you think, okay, $4,000 is my number, there you go. This is already done for you. but let's go in a little bit more because you probably don't want to be left with $0 and you don't want to leave your kids or your family with $0 at the end of the day. You'd probably like to leave them with something. So let's now figure out how much can I withdraw each month and then still be left with my initial principal. And let's say instead of 40 years, whatever, 30 years left, you could see that I could pull out $3,273 each month out of my $1 million nest egg. And then after 30 years, doing that every single month for 30 years, I will be left with still $1 million. You may be thinking, how is that possible? Well, it's because it's the interest. It's the rate of return, that 4% rate of return. I'm pretty much just pulling out the interest payments each time. So I'll never run out of the principal, and I'm just living off of the interest. So now let's kind of convert that into the stock market. Maybe you're still aggressive during retirement and you're fully invested in ETFs or stocks or whatever it might be, and you think you're going to get a higher rate of return. I wouldn't say, let's just say 10%, because you need to account for inflation. So I think 7 is a nice round number. It's still kind of being a little conservative, but then you could see, okay, if you have $1 million, now you can pull out $5,600 a month. That's a nice amount. If we want to know what that is a year, you're pulling out around 70 grand a year. Now, I personally wouldn't feel comfortable being this aggressive saying, hey, I'm going to make 7% each year so I could comfortably pull out 70,000 on $1 million for 30 years. Because what if we enter a really bad bear market? What if it's a 25-year long bear market? That happened back in 1930. We had a 25-year long bear. Well, the market never recovered for 25 years. So you're not making that 7% return. That's something you need to account for. So what I would recommend is you could go by the 4% rule. You've probably heard of that before, and we already did the math for that. It's $40,000 a year, or by month, it's around $3,200 a month on $1 million. And this is so you never run out. But another way to look at it, and this is my personal goal, is I want to not live off of the interest, but I want to live off of my dividends. And you could see, okay, well, that's a very small dividend, 1.53%. That might be hard on $1 million because if we do the math, I can only pull out $1,200 a month. That really won't work for me. I know some people have car payments higher than $1,200 a month. Well, what do I have to do? I need to have a higher ending amount. My goal is to have a much higher ending amount. Personally, my bare minimum would want to be at least $3 million. And you can see that drastically changes. If I have $3 million, and let's say my target is to still have $3 million, so I never run out of money, and I could pull out $3,798 a month if I just had it all in the S&P 500, and that's what I wanted to live off of. But my dividends are a little bit higher than 1.53% because I'm also in indexes like the Charles Schwab dividend ETF. That's making 3.71%. So by the time of retirement, I might shift all of my money into these higher yielding dividend stocks or dividend ETFs like Charles Schwab. So then if we do the math there, it's 3.71 right here. 3.71, that's looking a lot better. If I could end with $3 million, I could safely pull out $9,100. Essentially, I'm just taking the dividends each quarter, and it's going to equate to around that $9,000 a month, or for the year, that's going to be around $111,000. That's something I think I could live comfortably off of in retirement. That's what you need to do. You need to mess around with this type of calculator, the additional contributions, and your starting amount is really your ending amount, what you made during retirement. And it's not like you're going to have it sitting in a big cash pile in your basement and you're going to slowly take from it each month. It's still going to be invested. You're still going to make some type of return, and you need to figure out those numbers. It all comes down to the rate of return. Is it going to be sitting in a savings account that's making 2%, 3%? Right now it's 4%, but we saw a couple years ago you couldn't get a savings account for more than 1%. So I don't know if that's something you can necessarily overtrust. A well-diversified account still in stocks or ETFs, maybe some that are a little bit more conservative, maybe trying to live off of your dividends. None of this is financial advice. This is just stuff that you need to think of. But that's going to be my goal, to live off of dividends. And my goal, honestly, is not even to end with what I have when I start retirement, but I would like to end with even more. So if I get to retire with $3 million in the account, maybe I would want to end with, say, $4 million. If I'd be able to leave my family $4 million, let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's only $92,000 a year, or by month, $7,500 a month. That's something that in the future I could probably manage. So even though I'm withdrawing money, I'm still making more money on top of that with my rate of return with the dividends. And that's not even counting for appreciation. I'm sure over the next 30, if I get to retire and then enjoy 30 years of retirement, I'm sure, I can't be confident, but I'm sure the market will continue to go up. So then that end amount could be much higher. But this is how you try to figure this out. How much money can you actually live off of? And it all comes down to your starting amount for retirement, how many years you plan on being able to enjoy retirement. We don't like to talk about that, but eventually the good times have to end. So you need to figure out, how old are you and how long would you like to live, or at least hope to live? You need to have the money to not run out. And I think the best way to look at it is not look at how much money can I spend so then I could die with $0 to my name. No, how much money can I spend and just be sustained forever, and then my family could be sustained after I'm not here anymore. And that's how you could figure it all out with this. So guys, if you like this video, if it was helpful, make sure to smash that like button. And as always, I will see you in the next one.